Of all the things we think about, don't think about during a pandemic, and there's social unrest going on. I don't know unless you're you're an agency under yourself or maybe an independent insurance person. I don't know if you're thinking about life insurance a ton, and maybe you're also having an employment issue. You're just trying to keep your health insurance intact with maybe a furlough situation, but you've got less money coming in. Your own business, you've been out. What are you going to probably cut right away? Well, would you consider life insurance to be something that you would want to just let go, let lapse? People are doing that. Is that a good idea? Probably not. Can you make amends for that and fix it? Maybe, but you got to be thinking and proactive. Elliott Robinson is here, president of the Robinson Financial Group. They're a member of M Financial, and he is a chartered life underwriter here, and so he knows what he's talking about. I don't, he does. And he's joining us now. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing okay. And I understand that people get into financial pinches, and a lot of times you say, well, what can go first? I got to keep a roof over my head. I got to keep food on the table, but insuring against the future, man, I don't even know what next week's going to be. The mindset's understandable, isn't it?
Oh, completely. Between COVID and now riots, we always wonder what's going to happen next. Are we going to have wild beasts wandering our streets? How many plagues can we be hit with? This is already getting ridiculous. But your point is very well taken, David. Really appreciate the fact that you brought that up. Should you walk away from an insurance policy that you have? Well, let's go back to the reason that you bought the insurance policy to begin with. And that was built around that four-letter word called love, L-O-V-E. Somebody that you love, or maybe a business that you love, somebody that gave you the reason for buying the insurance. So do you love that person any less today? Or is that something that you say, hey, look, I only have a certain amount of dollars left. What can I do with it? Well, there are different choices of what you can do with it. Number one, you can go back and you can renegotiate your rate with your insurance company. How does that work? That means that, there are numerous insurance companies in the world. So it's just like you're going to go online and you're going to do price comparing.
Sure.
You can do exactly the same thing with insurance companies. You can price compare.
How open are insurance companies usually to doing that versus you saying, look, if not, I'm going to take my business elsewhere. I can't afford this premium anymore. And maybe, the payoff on it, that's great. But the premium is a no-go. It's like somebody saying, hey, we can get you a car payment of $500 a month. Yeah, but I can't afford $500, so it doesn't matter. I mean, I can't afford the total, and I can't afford the monthly. Do you end up having to usually pack up, or will they work with you?
So the existing insurance company will work with you, but only if you've already gone to one of their competitors and say, hey, listen, the guy down the block is giving me a much better deal than what you're doing. Can you match it or beat it? And we've been finding is exactly the case of renegotiating. Now, if it comes down to the fact that you just don't need the insurance anymore, then there's also an alternative, and it's called the settlement world. In other words, that basically is there's private equity firms out there that are buying old insurance policies on people that have some medical issues or people that just want to get rid of their insurance. There's a market both ways. You can either renegotiate what you've got or you can even sell what you want to get rid of. So how does that work? It's a very involved process. We don't have time for that on this call today.
No, and I get that. Now, if someone were to come to you and say, hey, look, Elliott, I can't afford this right now. Between my house, car, kids' car insurance, when I add up everything together, and I've got whole life and term, I got to get rid of one of those. What are people more likely to get rid of? The whole life policy that's got some residual, or the term life where they pay as they go? What do you think?
So it's a very good question. You're comparing apples and oranges, though. If you've got whole life or universal life, you have an insurance product that has value, that has equity. Compare that to your house. If you own your house, would you rather rent, which is term insurance, or do you want to go into your house, which is your whole life or your universal life contract? You've got equity in there. Let your policy has equity, let your policy pay your premium. If you have term insurance, you're paying rent. And if you can afford the rent, then you can afford the rent and just pay the rent. But try to keep as much coverage as you can because, again, it goes back to the point, is there somebody or something that you love that you want to protect? That's really the question.
Yeah, I know. I remember talking to a friend of mine about this, and I when I was 30 years ago, and I said, I'm really not caring. I'm not married here, and I don't have kids, and you're about to. He's like, well, you don't have insurance. I go, no, but the minute I'm getting married, I'm getting it, and then I'm going to add to it if we have kids, and we end up having 4, right? So I keep adding to it. I want to make sure that they're covered in the case I'm not around to earn anymore. And I said, you got to do the same. When you're unmarried and you're young, it's crazy to have too much, and later it's crazy if you don't have enough. So it's it's knowing where you are in life. But I understand things happen. Our agents usually, are they well versed in being able to talk people off the ledge and not convince them to keep something they can't afford, but really work around whatever financial issues going on in someone's individual life?
If you're speaking with a seasoned agent, if you're speaking with somebody who's a broker is different than an agent. An agent represents a particular insurance company. A broker like us represents numerous insurance companies. But I will tell you, by the way, we're seeing things going on in our world now, in the insurance world. They're unprecedented. People don't want to take a blood test. People don't want to have somebody come into their house and give them an exam. So the insurance companies now have come up with an unprecedented opportunity that you can buy insurance by just going through a phone interview and signing some forms. That's it. Today in our world, there are up to certain ages you can buy millions of dollars of life insurance strictly on a phone call and signing some forms. And if you meet the criteria, you could actually have a policy in your hand in 48 hours. It's unbelievable what's happened. That's
very different. Yeah, even as a young man, when I took out mine for the first time, I had to go through I went through a full physical. So they got reported back, but and that was without any health issues whatsoever. Now we still have to have this just to make sure, and that was part and parcel. So things are changing out there. People want to write paper on this. They want to take out, and they want to have policies in place, and they want to have clients and customers. Don't want to lose them. But they also want to give good advice. And like you say, talk to somebody who has been around the block, and that certainly always makes a lot of sense. Elliott Robinson, our guest, Robinson Financial President, part of the M Financial Group, Chartered Life Underwriter. Look for the series of acronyms after names, too. That means people have been certified. That's important, isn't it?
It's very important, especially here in Chicago and the suburbs. Let me tell you, it's very important because people come in and out of our business very, very quickly. I personally have been in the business 47 years. I'm second of the third generation. We are a generation of over 100 years in this business. And we've seen everything.